Welcome back to Alumni Game, the show where three Gamecocks dive into South Carolina sports, football, hoops, the NCAA, everything that comes along with it.
Where our opinions are never filtered, sometimes reasonable, and always fun.
That's right. You can check out all of those takes that we have on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all those platforms. Settle in, y'all, and let's get started with this week's episode of Alumni
Game!
Game!
Hello, welcome back, Gamecock fans. This is another episode of Alumni Game. I am your guest host today, Sam Niedermeyer. Mike, unfortunately, is out away doing some really busy, cool work
Yep.
stuff. We'll see if he'll let us know about it, but I'm sure you'll hear about the project in the future. Anyways, Buster, another episode of Alumni Guy. Happy opening day. I see your background there. Happy opening day. Are you going to
Yes,
celebrate?
happy opening day. This is one of my favorite times of the year. Obviously, everybody should know that I love football, but my second love will always be baseball. It was one of the sports I played, and obviously, being an amazing elite athlete as I was, I had to turn down multiple scholarships
Yeah.
and a lifetime in the professional leagues to settle down, get married, have a family. Just the usual stuff. But
You made
yeah,
some
no,
you made you made
go.
some sacrifices there, brother.
Yeah. No, if I could hit a curveball, aka Pedro Serrano from Major Leagues, if I could hit a curveball, I would probably stuck with it more. But they say hitting is the hardest thing to ever do in any sport, and honestly, I completely agree. It is.
Well,
It is a talent.
you fail 70% of the time, you're going to the Hall of Fame. Like that's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
you know.
So, shout out to MLB opening day. I want to give a shout out to my favorite team, the Chicago Cubs, and my second favorite team, the Atlanta Braves. Go Cubs, go Braves. Let's get a dub on opening day.
I got my Nationals I'm cheering for this year. They got a couple young guys coming up this year that are going to
Yeah.
be kind of surprising. Pirates, my other team, you know. Hey,
Nah.
well, at least we got Skeens.
Hey, and that's the thing is like, the one thing I could say about the Cubs the last couple of years, I was like, at least we can get a guaranteed victory out of the Pirates. But if Paul Skeens is pitching, that's not a guarantee anymore because that guy. I mean, that is if you're looking for pocket spade, an ace, that's your ace right there.
He's an absolute beast. That's the only time PNC Park in Pittsburgh really ever fills out is when he's starting pitching. And I don't blame the
Yeah.
fans, right? Like not at all. It's a great time to go out there. But good congratulations to Major League Baseball for another successful opening day. Really excited for this season. But we got some Gamecock news. So we're gonna go straight into it. Gamecock heavy episode. We're gonna talk a little bit
Yep.
of updates in terms of what's going on, specifically around women's sports. Little shout out to a Division III championship. And then we're going to get to the nitty gritty, which is a really awesome segment, my favorite segment of the week, Gamecock of the Week. This is going to be a different one.
Woo!
We got a Gamecock room of the week. But Buster, start us
There we
off.
go.
What's happening down in Columbia? You're our boots on the ground. What's going on?
Yeah. All right. So first off, if you guys obviously noticed, we're talking about opening day. So today's March 27th. So tomorrow, March 28th, 5 p.m. I want everybody. If you're in Birmingham, please go. If you're making travel plans, please go. And if you're not doing any of those, please tune in because the women's basketball team is in the Sweet 16. Now check this, man. Sweet 16, 11th straight year.
Unreal.
Unreal stat. I love it.
They have it's impressive. Remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about do they get the number one overall seed, and you made a great point. Like, hey, everyone's expecting the dominant South Carolina Gamecocks to falter and kill. They still only lost 3 games, won the SEC. Like they're a one seed, not the
Yeah.
overall one. But it's like, yeah, you can't be dominant every year. But 11 straight Sweet 16s, that's rivaling Gino Uriami kind of numbers right there.
Oh yeah. I mean, like if you're gonna do a Mount Rushmore of college women's basketball coaches, obviously Gino and Pat Summit are up there. Dawn should go ahead and start getting an architect to start chiseling away at that Mount Rushmore because this is something that when you talk about elite status of basketball teams, men and women's, like an 11th straight Sweet 16. We did that. We defeated Indiana. We did play Indiana last year in the tournament. Also a dub. Naturally, we were national champions, but we came back and did the exact same thing. Indiana actually came out pretty well in the first half, and I think at one point it was like a 1 point margin. And then the Gamecocks come in the third quarter, shot almost 70% from the field, end up winning 64-53. Chloe Kitts, double-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds, her 10th of the season. Bree Hall also finished with 11 points. I mean, it's just, you look at Tahina Pow, Tessa, Snia Fagan came in and played very well, put up
Joyce
points.
Edwards.
Joyce Edwards. So, what you're seeing is, and I say this in the sense of, in comparison, the last couple of years, we've always had a dominant player, Aaliyah, Asia, Camila Cardozo. I'm not going to say this or that because we don't know, but Ashlyn Watkins was going to be that next big thing. Obviously, she went out with the torn ACL. Speedy recovery to Ashlyn Watkins. But
yep.
Dawn was able to change up the scheme to be, okay, if we can't rely on the singular person, everybody's got to play a role. Everybody's got to play a part. And so far, they're doing it. And that was such a seamless transition that no one knew that we had to kind of fix and update and modify things so that we weren't like, I kind of feel like the initial plan was that everything was going to go through Ashlyn and then kind of distribute outside. Now, without going straight to Ashlyn, it's everybody else is distributing to everybody else, and everybody's playing a responsibility and a role. And look where we are, back in the Sweet 16.
A lot of players are stuffing the stat sheet with like a lot of minutes going around, between 20 and 30 minutes between like 7 or 8 players, right? So really good rotation. 2 shout outs. Chloe Kitts, congratulations to another double-double. You've really come into your own late season, specifically in the postseason, right? SEC tournament player of the postseason as well, one of the all SEC team. And number 2, shout out to Dawn Staley, when after they beat LSU, Kim Mulkey was complaining about, well, not complaining, but we don't like Kim. And she's talking about like, I've never seen so many McDonald's All-Americans on one team. And Dawn Staley, I'm loving it.
Woo!
South Carolina ladies play tomorrow. I believe it's 5 p.m. On
5
Friday,
p.m.
5 p.m. against the 4th-seeded Maryland Terrapins. They will, if they win, we think they will. Then they'll play on Sunday. Winner against what is that? Duke and is it North Carolina? Who are they?
Was it NC? I didn't have the schedule up, but yeah,
I think it's UNC. I think it's UNC.
Okay,
UNC and Duke.
Because I couldn't remember if it was UNC or NC State, because I know it was an in-state rivalry. But
ACC in-state. So I think it's UNC Duke. Big matchup there tomorrow. The winners will play hopefully South Carolina. Another women's team is kind of crushing it. As well too. With we're talking baseball, like the softball team has been doing pretty well, right, Buster?
Dude, this softball team, if we're talking about spring sports, we got 2 new coaches for the men's baseball team and the women's softball team. Men's, we were able to get Paul Maneri coming out of retirement. We're not going to talk about the men's baseball team right now.
He's at LSU for a while, right? That's where he was.
He won a national championship with LSU. But that's not what's important. What's important is Ashley Chastain Woodard, former softball player for USC. Coached up at UNC Charlotte. We hired her in the offseason, hoping to bring back some magic because she was doing well up there in Charlotte. And so far, she's bringing quite a bit of magic because the Gamecocks are ranked number 11th in the country. We are pretty much dominating from multiple aspects in the game. And most importantly, we just destroyed the team from the upstate on Tuesday, 6-0. Shut them out.
That's what it's all about, baby. You beat Clemson, you check off one of those things every season in every single sport. We are just dominating them then in 2024, 2025. It's so much fun. Number 11 overall, RPI, number 4. So they're actually doing it against, obviously, the SEC talent is there. You got teams like Florida, LSU, Oklahoma, what have you. 4th in RPI in the nation at 25-6. So really really good start to the season.
Oh yeah, and I mean the thing is and what Ashley has done is, she's revitalized the program. She brought in some great players, and then the returning players, she's getting the best out of it. I mean, you look at top of the order on Tuesday, went 6 for 9.
Woo.
All right, and that includes Ariana Rohde's 3-run homer. Rohde is an All-American. Like, she is just fantastic, and she smoked the ball. That got us up 3-0. But then after that, it was just systematic scoring based on great plays, great offense. you're not always having to rely on the long ball. Sometimes you got to play that short game, and you know
Hmm.
what? That still brings in runs. And couple that with an excellent start from our ace Neely Lamb. She went 5 innings, no runs, no walks, 4 Ks. So dominating offensively and defensively. I've heard that we have one of the best defensive infields in the country. So the future's bright. We're not gonna make plans and put up massive expectations because that is the doom of all great players and great teams. But what we can say is they are far exceeding expectations, and I can see this team, going very deep into the season, potentially getting into the regional, super regionals, and then the softball World Series if they continue to play like they played on Tuesday against Clemson.
Yeah, I like how you're mentioning that you didn't really say it verbatim, but it's almost like they're doing the little things, right? So if your lead hitters are getting on base, your 1 through 3 hitters are getting on base, at a 67% clip, you're doing
Yeah,
something right. You play solid infield defense, right? And it's a smaller infield, right? So it's a little bit
yeah,
harder to play defense, especially the way the ball comes off the aluminum bat there. But it's a consistent theme that we've talked about through all the different programs with the attention to details, right? In the football with Shane Beamer, you got the attention to details on special teams defense, offensive line, defensive line. Women's basketball, the hard-nosed physicality, rebounding,
yeah,
contest every shot, pass the ball, a lot of minutes, right? Women's softball, get on base, play solid defense, prevent the other team from scoring through solid pitching. It's a lot of attention to detail. Then you see the men's
yeah,
basketball team, and the free throw percentage is terrible, and a lack of attention to detail. How about
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? Like, how about
yeah.
all
I
that?
mean, and that's the thing is, the little game. I used to be told it was the little game, which is you have the big game, you have these overarching goals of season game, et cetera. But it's the
Mhm.
little things, like you said, in baseball, the small ball. I watched this game Tuesday. It's some of those things that stood out was we had a pop fly out to center. We had someone on third, and this pop fly was somewhat shallow, but she realized that the center fielder who was making the play was coming in awkwardly at it. They tagged up and got to home, beat out the throw just because they saw in that small ball philosophy. They
Mhm.
saw that they were at an advantage, that the center fielder was at a disadvantage in catching the ball, didn't have a clean transition from glove to hand to make the throw to home. The throw to home was not on target. We
Smart,
scored from there. Second thing is
smart.
we
That's just
scored a
that's just
double.
smart baseball, smart softball, all the way
Yeah,
around.
and that was the thing is, and on the flip side, defensively for us, we caught a ball shallow center field. The center fielder very aware of what's going on the infield, very aware of the runners, very aware of the situation. Immediately caught the ball, perfect transition to hand from glove to hand through to second place to get the tag, and double play into the ending, and there you go. And it's those are the things is what makes small ball work and be efficient and be successful is when you are aware, you pay attention to the details, your execution is there, and you stay focused. Any of those things, all those things have to happen to be able to take on those little details, which is what makes small ball so successful. And that's what I saw on Tuesday, outside of obviously Rhodey's 3-run homer, which was a great blast. I mean, cleared the fence like no problem. So, it's yes, do we all would love to see the home runs and different things like that? Yeah, but what makes a good softball and baseball team is the attention to details, the small ball, getting base runners on, moving them around, and getting them home.
Absolutely. Quick question for you, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. How are the crowds there? Has there been kind of a stand starting to fill up a little bit, get a little excitement
Oh yeah.
behind this team? Good, good,
So
good.
luckily the
It's
the
always been a good
television
softball
broadcast.
baseball school.
Oh yeah. Well, Beckham Field is over there where Sarge Fry used to be by the Roost, up against Rosewood Drive, and you
Yep.
know maybe the crowds weren't so great the last couple of years. Maybe some things, we weren't winning at the clip where people are excited to see. But it's not just winning. I think having Ashley Chastain Woodard as a alum coming back home,
Yeah.
coupled with the fact that there's a different energy, and this kind of relates to like the Shane Beamer family
Yeah.
culture that you see on the football team, is that kind of stuff brings in the crowds. People want to go there. They want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of something that is like family. They want to say that this is a community, a family. And so now, especially with, yeah, obviously wins do breed crowds, but more so, I think the crowds are coming and they're making a concerted effort to be a part of this because of what Coach Chastain Woodard is doing for the softball team.
It's almost like a chicken and an egg kind of thing, right? Do the wins build the culture, or do you build the culture first and that brings the wins? It's an interesting question. Either way, it's worked out really well for the football program, the basketball program, the
Yep.
women's softball program. So very excited. Quick note here. I don't know about this, but we kind of talked very briefly about it in our chat. The what is it? The Gamecock hockey team
Yeah.
finished the D3 national champions.
Yes. So we have two club teams. We have a Division One club team, which they usually win national championships, and then the Division Three team, which is kind of like the JV. And again, I'm not super familiar with how hockey works in the northern states and then into Canada with juniors and the different leagues
Yeah.
that they have and different levels. But from that kind of standpoint, the Division Three, the JV team, did win their national championship. We've won
Awesome.
national championships with the Division One hockey team. Either way, it's a Gamecock team that has won another national championship. So,
Raise the banner.
hey, be a part of
Congratulations.
victory.
Congratulations, D3 hockey team. We're really proud of you.
Yeah.
Didn't know what you did, but now I'm following. I'm checking you out now. So
I do have
congratulations.
to
Really
say, if
excited
you
there.
for you, Sam, and for everybody out there listening and watching, I believe Gamecocks online, and I know there's a couple other places you'll have to search the Gamecock hockey uniforms, the jerseys.
Yeah.
You have to go and get one. They are phenomenal. They look amazing. They
Is
are.
it the one I see in this post where it's a white with red on the top and then a Carolina
Yeah,
coming down like that? Yeah, that looks dope.
yeah,
That looks really dope.
dude. Those things are sick. I am. I have one in my shopping cart actually.
Oh yeah, good
Yeah,
for you. That's
yeah. I
awesome,
got
man.
one in my shopping cart, so like it's gonna be, it's gonna be bought and it's gonna be worn because that is a sick look. A lot of, as the kids would say, a lot of drip. I
A lot
think
of
drip.
lot of drip. I used to say swag, but that sounds like a baby boomer kind of term
Yeah.
right now too, right? Really awesome. Congrats to the D3 team. I hope people are buying more of those uniforms and they're getting some recognition there. So really excited to move to talk about our next topic though. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
move on. We got some awesome things going on with Gamecock of the Week this week. Got a full room, Buster, because there's some chatter and some
Cool.
noise about this group. Give me a little primer right here on what we're about to dive into.
All right. Skilled players make skillful plays, and we got a room that is packed full of skill, packed full of talent. And let me tell you, this squadron's ready to take off.
So squadron, you say? Squadron. That's an interesting term. I noticed that this Gamecock wide receiver room has been dubbed the 1801 Top Gun Fighter Wing. What's going on there?
All right, so here's the deal. I always looked at the wide receivers as a squadron of fighter jets for the Air Force and the Air National Guard, just because their ability to get behind enemy lines, which means get behind the defense, be able to drop bombs on the touchdown, like get those bombs going, and the idea that like in one-on-one aerial combat, that's like the wide receiver going up with the DB, being able to fight off that press, and then being able to you know streak down the sidelines, going Mach 1, being able to catch that pass, get behind the defense, get behind enemy lines, score that touchdown, and get the Gamecocks up. So they're the 1801st Top Gun Fighter Wing. I call them that because here in my hometown of Hopkins, South Carolina, we have McIntyre Air National Guard, the 169th Fighter Wing. And then in my wife's hometown of Sumter, South Carolina, you have Shaw Air Force Base with the 20th Fighter Wing for the Air Force. So, what best way to compare the Gamecock wide receiver room with the squadron of Top Gun fighters that we got just here in Columbia and in Sumter? So there we go. That's where it came from.
I love it. I think that's great, man. You throw the Air Force in there too. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The 1801, is that a specific?
Yeah, we are 1801. The university was
That's when it
founded
was
in
founded, right?
1801.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Well
yeah,
done. Well done. Hey,
we're
man,
the 1801st.
I'm excited to talk about these Top Guns, man. These guys are going to be legit.
Oh
Specifically,
yeah.
kind of the guys returning back, but we also spoke very briefly back in at the in our transfer mid our December transfer portal episode. We talked about a couple of these guys very briefly. We can dive into them a little bit more, specifically these freshman phenoms that are coming up. But I'm excited to see what this group can do. The floor, the ceiling, if you will. So why don't we just kind of, how do you want to start it off here? We obviously we
Well,
got Nick Harbor with some news about him is that he's obviously a beast, but some news is that he's not going to be doing track this year.
yeah, he has decided to dedicate the spring semester and spring practice to football, which if you saw the level of progression during the season last year, this is during the season. So this is game prep, workouts during the week, classes, all the different things that go in. So you have very little time to master your craft and get better. And yet during the season, you saw from Old Dominion onwards, and you saw it in Alabama, like he had a phenomenal catch in Alabama, all the way to the Clemson game and into the bowl game. This guy progressed, and he progressed at such an exponential pace that if you give him a spring and a summer to work with Coach Fury and to work with the Jugs machine and to work with Lenoris on routes, I could see big things coming from the big man come fall. So, let me set the table first. We're cooking, but if we're going to put out something delicious for everybody, we got to set the table. That food is not as good unless it looks good on the plate. So, the whole point of this is that Mike Shula, our new offensive coordinator, taking over this year, he needs to put a stamp on this offense. And this offense has to have three key things. It has to have efficiency, it's got to have execution, and it's got to have an identity. And the idea is that the identity, I think, and this is just again, this is my opinion based on things that we've heard and kind of things that we kind of know as Gamecock Nation. The identity is that this offense is going to run through Lenoris. He has shown to be an elite athlete, a phenomenal quarterback, and he hasn't even touched the ceiling. He's not even close. He is maybe one or two steps up the staircase, so he's not even close to the ceiling of what his potential can be. So, if we're going to have this offense run through Lenoris and turn Lenoris into a star, you're going to have a really good passing game. And for you to have a really good passing game, you're going to have a wide receiver room that has talent, has physical ability, has skill, but most importantly, can be efficient and consistent. And that's what these guys, that's what the spring is for. These guys need to learn routes. They need to learn fundamentals. They need to learn to be efficient. They need to learn to be consistent. But you put all those together, I could see this group being somewhere, I'm going to go ahead and spitball. I'm going to go unbiased. I'm going to go reasonable. And I'm going to say this is going to be one of the top receiving rooms in the SEC, potentially something that you could see from a national level. So, go ahead and put that out there. Listen
I
to
think
me,
what's really fun.
believe
So
me.
for those, I love I love the enthusiasm there, and I think we can quote you as this will be the top receiver room in the SEC for 2025. We're gonna put it out there. We're gonna put it on loop and we're gonna put it out there. We were chatting a little yesterday, kind of really excited to see obviously you got these four veterans coming back and all of them have had highlight reels. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you can check out, we're going to be throwing some highlights of some of these guys that we'll be talking about in the background. So check those out shortly. So check us out on YouTube. If not, if you're listening on audio, we're just going to talk about the highlights and get a chance to check it out on YouTube for some of the film from the guys over the last couple of years and some of the newcomers. Lenore Sellers right now is a plus as of March 27th, 2024 is a plus 2,000 on the Heisman odds as he opened up, which is I believe 8th right now in the country, or maybe it's 9th behind Carson Beck. So I think it's 9th.
Yeah, I mean it's top 10, but on the lower part of the top 10, which is fine. I mean, again, he it was last year was his first year start as a starting quarterback, and there were some hiccups. We obviously saw it in the beginning of the season at Old Dominion, but you also saw what he can be, and with another year of experience and another year of practicing and a year of working with some veteran leadership in the wide receiving room, potentially a very good offensive lines, veteran leadership at the running back room, maybe those odds start to kind of go more into his
Yeah.
favor, and maybe he starts climbing the ranks of Heisman contenders. But that's prognostication. That's some predictions and potentials. We'll see how it all unfolds.
And we both kind of think, we both probably agree that the number one guy that we're going to talk about here, Nick Harbor, 6'5", 230 pounds. The guy is an
Beast.
absolute beast. I was looking through some of the information here. The average defensive back, Power 5 defensive back, is 6 foot, 180 pounds. So
Yeah,
he's got some size on him, right?
he's what they call a mismatch. Just to put it slightly, so last year he caught 26 passes, 376 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But here's the kicker. In the final 5 games of the season, it was 272 yards and 2 touchdowns on 15 receptions, which means beginning of the season, we had to work him in. And again, he was gone all last spring because he was doing training for the Olympics. He only really got into the summer, and then all of a sudden it's fall, and people don't realize the technical aspect of being a wide receiver. And that's, how to break off a press, how to, your footwork to be able to get off the line of scrimmage and accelerate. Because the idea is you can't just start running. You have to have an elite level of acceleration off the line after you're already fighting a DB. Then once you're doing that, you have to run a crisp route.
Mm-hmm.
Then after you do that, you have to be able to watch, get that ball in your hands. Then you got to also understand where the defense is by your situational awareness to know how to run with yards after the catch. So there's a lot that goes into it that he just didn't have a lot of experience with. But if you saw that progression, then you saw how much better he got and how those kind of things are going to start to become second nature. And then having a spring to be able to, further that training I mean, God, this guy, I'll say this, he should be, and again, I don't want to, put unnecessary and unrealistic expectations on him, but he's in the third year of the program. He's got a spring and summer training. I think he's going to be the leading receiver on this team, and he's going to make some noise from a receiving standpoint in the SEC. So we'll just say it like that. I'm looking at him, and if they can use that body size and then figure out a way for him to use his speed to exploit what he can do, then I mean it's going to put up EA Sports video game numbers. Kind of like what we saw last summer when everybody was using them as a cheat code.
Yeah, right. When the new EA Sports NCAA football came out and they realized, oh, fast and big.
Yeah.
Outside of defensive back, I think one of the more successful positions that get drafted into the NFL from South Carolina is the wide receiver position. Every 3 or 4 years, that there seems to be some guy that's in a first round pick. One of the guys that he kind of reminds me of was also a stud wide receiver. He looks like he's got the size of Alshon Jeffrey, but the speed of like Troy Williamson. It is kind of like the one comparison I can see from some of the greats right here. That's kind of, I'm excited for him. I think I'm with you. I think he's going to be a factor even if he doesn't catch the ball, because he commands double teams. He commands a presence on defense, more than one player. You run zone against him. We just saw a bunch of highlights right here where he's just destroying the zone against teams like Texas A&M, teams like Florida. He can catch in traffic. He is the real deal.
Well, you said it best. Like, the idea is that if you look at him and but based on his size and his athletic ability and his speed, he's going to be a disadvantage against any DB. Like, they're going to be at a disadvantage going up against him. So defenses are going to have to scheme to take away that disadvantage. And when they do that, that means that there's going to be a disadvantage or a vulnerability somewhere else on the field. And that's what I think that Shula philosophy and offense, and then the scheming towards Lenoris being your identity, is that if you can make it so that you're putting people on the field that creates a disadvantage, the defense has to shift to kind of cover that, which leaves a vulnerable position, and that's where you want to attack. So whether he gets the ball or not, it doesn't matter, because there's somewhere on that field that defense is going to have a vulnerability with a 6'5", 230-pound, 10-1, 100-meter dash wide receiver. So, that right there is just enough. Like, we can use that. And that's only if it was just Nick Harbor. We still have other guys that are veterans on this team, including
like one of these, this guy right here, Matteo Bennett.
Mazio Bennett. He is
Super
a South
Mazio, as
Carolina
Mike calls
boy.
him.
Greenville High School. This guy came in as a true freshman last year, and made some great plays, like that one there that's on the highlights. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see these highlights. Like Bennett brings an athletic ability that he has. He can stretch the field, just not just with speed, but with this kind of twitch ability. Like he can move in small spaces. He can find creases and be able to use kind of an explosive acceleration. And oh, by the way, he's got outstanding hands. So the biggest thing for him was he needed to get a little bit bigger, stronger. Typical a freshman coming out of high school. He's only one
Yeah.
year in a college weight room. You're not gonna be all world and Mr.
Yeah.
Universe. So
He needs a
you
year or two to
get one
bulk up.
more off season to bulk up. Obviously, work on the fundamentals. The biggest thing that football coaches like to say is you need to be consistent. What that means is every single play needs to be at 110% with not only your physicality, but the mental side, the situational awareness, understanding where the defenders are and what kind of coverage is going up against you. You have to do that every single play, be 100% focused. And so, freshmen, you get it. Not that they take plays off, but the level of focus and attention and situational awareness that is needed, that needs to happen, and that's what this springs for Mazio is just to work on that, and don't be a flash, but be every single play you put yourself in a position to help your quarterback make a play.
Yeah, I mean, just do your job, right? He seems like a pretty good, right there. We saw that highlight in Alabama. He was in the slot, the inside slot, and ran a beautiful wheel route. He's
Yeah,
going to be another force in the slot, like a really good slot receiver to start out with. Reminds me a little bit of a smaller Ace Sanders, but Ace Sanders got bigger too and became a breakout star
yeah,
by his
yeah,
junior year. So I like the comparisons there. Love Super Mazio. Shout out to Mike, who's not with us today. Super Mazio.
yeah.
Really excited to see his progression. Let's move on. We got some other veteran wideouts to
Yeah,
talk about here.
Jared Brown. He was our transfer from Coastal last year. From this play, you could see he's got great speed. Great speed. He's got incredible twitch. He's slippery. Great hands. He kind of reminds me of Shi Smith from a few years ago with the ability to kind of slip through defenses and get that yak. The biggest thing was he had some nagging injuries last year that kind of lingered throughout the season where he wasn't 100%. And honestly, if you look at that play where he scores the touchdown, you need to be 100%, be able to do those things from a physical standpoint. So we didn't get to see his true potential last year, and that's unfortunate. Luckily for us, he came in from the transfer portal fairly young, so he's got another year with us. And I think with him, if he's 100% healthy, you could see him being more than just a gadget guy, which means like he's not just there for trick plays and things like that. He's there to be a steady part of the offense. You need a 3rd and 5, and you got a guy that's not afraid to go across the middle. This is your guy. You got a guy that can like slip out from a wide receiver screen, make a few guys miss. This is your guy. I'm very excited about what Jared Brown can do because he can be very consistent with catching the ball and be that Mr. Reliable type of guy for Lenore Sellers in the passing game.
Where do you think he starts off on the depth chart this year to start the season?
I mean, Jared, just because he's a veteran and has been in the game for a while, between us and then the time at Coastal, he's going to be one of the I have it where Nick is one starter on one outside position, and then Jared's the outside guy on the other side of the ball. So I see both of them as starting, and they're starting on the outside. And obviously, barring some unforeseen issues, injuries, things like that, Jared is going to be the guy. Should be Mr. Reliable,
Yeah.
in that sort of thing. Because I always look at it. We did have Debo and Shi Smith on our team at one time. Unfortunately, we did not have a good coach, Will Much Chump, at the time. So I don't know if we were able to use them to their full potential. But we did have Debo and Shi on the same team at the same time. And both of those guys were insanely talented, but they were both used and as a necessity as well. They both had roles and responsibilities. And Jared has that same kind of level of responsibility, just the same as Nick Harbor has on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
I'm really excited to see what he can do with a healthy season, right? Get real healthy, take the entire summer and spring and summer to get healthy. I'm excited to see what he can do. Another
Yep.
veteran coming back, a little bit of a lesser known guy in terms of stats and people knowing about him. Talk to me about Von Travis here.
So Vandrevius Jacobs, transfer from Florida State, also transferred early on in his college career. So he had some extra time. So he's definitely coming back. Same sort of thing as Jared. Had some kind of injury issues, just never could get fully healthy to be able to fully exploit his physical abilities and be a consistent threat. But when he was healthy and was able to get out there, if you watch that highlight, the kid has got speed, he's got crazy athletic ability, he's got it to where, you know, I mean, if you're watching the YouTube video, the ability to accelerate with that yards after the catch, like he's got it all. The thing is, he's just got to get healthy. And if you're going to be healthy, then that means you're going to be able to practice more, play more, and you're going to be able to be more consistent. That's all with Ventrevious. He's got the physical talent to be an outstanding and exciting. Like I call him the X factor because he can be very exciting with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And so you just got to get him to be consistent and be healthy. And that's really it. I mean, all those guys, really, from the veteran leadership, these guys got talent. They have shown that they can make the catch. They've shown that they can get the yards after the catch. They've shown that they got a nose for the touchdown. Most of the time, it's just nagging injuries, lingering issues that
Yeah.
they were not 100%. That's all.
Hard to tell on this route if this was a planned button hook, deep button hook, excuse me, or deep curl. But I like that he finds the soft zone. He's able to kind of run with Lenoris. Lenoris, you can see, kind of starts running over to his right. He
Yeah.
finds that soft zone as the defender moves up. He stays there. So I like that he's got the IQ already. And this was the second game of the season last year, and he was playing. So great to see. I hope he's good. Another great option, another smart option that you can kind of
Yeah.
find somebody on third down, right? That's maybe a third and long situation,
Yep.
midfield, 3rd and 6, something like that. The veterans look great. I'm excited to bring them back. Let's talk about some of these new guys.
Yeah. The new guys. All right. So the veterans, we always talk about, like, it's not saying that it's their job to lose, but they're going to be penciled in as starters because they've been there before. They're on the team. But the best thing for a veteran leader is to have a young upstart freshman that can come in and compete. And when you compete, you end up getting better. Iron sharpens iron. And these guys got some houses that are coming in from the freshman ranks, coming from high school, that I think can definitely make a play for being a starter at some point. But at the very least, they are definitely in the two deep, and they're gonna showcase some talents this year. And Carolina fans, you better be ready. You better start packing Williams-Brice. You go ahead and start buying your season tickets because you're about to see a show that is going to blow your mind. And let's see, who do we want to start with first? Like, I mean, pick your poison, pretty much, kind of like what the defense is going to have to do. They're going to have to pick their poison. Let's start out with hometown kid Malik Clark. I love Malik because this was a guy that we were tracking for a while. Carolina has been on him. Obviously, he's from Rock Hill, the home of great Carolina athletes.
York
Shout
Prep,
out to
I think,
Stephon
right?
Gilmore, Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah.
A lot of great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Remember, I think the Brinkleys were from around there too. Maybe they're from Charlotte. But yeah, there's a lot of good ball coming out of Rock Hill.
Oh yeah. So Malik Clark, we knew we wanted him big time because he was a big time 4-star guy, great hands, great size. He was 6'2", 190 coming out of high school. He's going to probably be about between 190, maybe 195. I don't see him getting up too much more, maybe 200, but it should be a muscular 200 where you're not going to lose any speed or anything like that. So, Malik Clark's going to come in, and what I like about him is he's got that size that we are looking for. That obviously Nick Harbor is a freak when it comes to size, 6'5", 230, like that.
Yeah.
That's
They're not all 6'5",
on the
230 on
that is
Olympic class sprinters. They're not all that big. It's not
yeah,
happening.
that is way outside the standard deviation. But for the most part, your bigger wide receivers are going to be in that 6'2", 6'3" area, 200, and he's going to bring that size. What does size do for a wide receiver? That means that when you go for a one-for-one ball, you got to go up and get it. You got to be able to manhandle your DB. But at the same time, the cool thing about Malik Clark is, if you can see in the highlight, doesn't take away from his moves. He's still slippery. He's still got
Yeah.
twitch. He's still got some cuts. Like, you could be 6'2", 190 and be able to outmuscle a guy for a ball. But then once you get that ball in your hands, you got to get that yak. And let me tell you, this guy's got the moves to get that yak.
I mean, I'm looking at this clip right here is incredible the more I watch it, because it's in slow motion that he catches it, and within one step he's a sharp cut to the right to fake out the safety who was coming in for a big hit. So that shows me he has the nice concentration. He's got, all right, I know where I'm going with the ball. I'm going to grab it. And he's lengthy. He's really
Yeah.
lengthy. I
Yeah.
like that.
And
So
then-
I wonder what his wingspan is. We'll have to look that up and share in the future.
Yeah,
But
I mean, prototypical like big wide receiver. And oh, by the way, like we keep talking about like this size. Don't forget the guy's got speed. He broke 10.7 in the 100-meter dash in high school. So
Oh, wow,
10.7,
quick.
that's 0.6, or 6 milliseconds, whatever, 0.6 seconds away from the 10.1, which is Olympic elite level speed from Nick Harbor. So, you're just a step behind Nick Harbor. So he's got speed to burn as well. Like, it's not just size. So, and again, we'll say this is the umbrella of all freshman receivers. The three things you got to do: learn the offense. Once you learn the offense, get bigger, stronger, and faster. That's not a problem. That's kind of automatic with our strength and nutrition program. And then 3, just be consistent. Every rep is your last rep. 110%. Remain focused. Understand situational awareness. You're going up against obviously better athletes in college than you did in high school. So those kind of fundamental small details that we talked about earlier, the small game, small ball, that's where you perfect your craft. And that's what these guys, every one of these young wide receivers is going to work on. So we could talk about their strengths. There's not really weaknesses in the sense of they're just inexperienced. So umbrella statement, they all just got to get used to college, play with a level of consistency, and work on the small details.
Another speedster, not quite the size of Malik Clark, but Lex Cyrus, another speedster.
Yes.
Four-star recruit. Tell me about him a little
Four-star. I think we beat Pennsylvania out for him. Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State. Yep.
Yeah. So Cyrus 5'10", 185. I could see him probably playing 185, 190. With the strength and conditioning program and some nutrition. But again, crazy athlete. I heard through the grapevine that him, and I want to say it was maybe another one of the wide receivers, broke the school record in the vertical leap.
Inside information right there from our boots on the ground reporter.
I heard that from some statements on some message boards, but I'm going to say it was, for you to do that, I think the school record, and again, this is within the football program through their strength and conditioning program, the record was 41 inches. So, a true freshman coming in, 17, 18 years old, jumping higher than 41 inches.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's crazy athleticism. So
I wonder if he can dunk.
That's what
you think he can dunk?
Oh yeah. I mean, I could. No, I can't dunk. What am I saying?
I meant on a 10-foot rim. 10-foot rim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about like a 7-foot rim. Then,
right.
Yeah,
When
everybody
when you bring it back down to 6 foot, you know what I mean? Like something like that. Lex looks great. One thing I'm noticing here as we look at the tape, he is extremely shifty with the ball. Like he's one of these guys, if I'm going to be perfectly blunt, he might have a game where he's got like 3 catches for -1 yard, and then his 4th catch is like a 78 yard and like 77 is after the catch because he just like shifts everybody out of the way. He's very much a home run threat every time he touches the ball. I could see him, I don't want to say Deebo Samuel in the 49ers, but I could see him getting a lot, like probably being a running back option, like out of the option, out of the spread option.
The funny thing is he's got like his name, Lex Cyrus. It sounds like it's a villain from a superhero.
Superman villain.
Yeah, like obviously, the first thought is Lex Luthor, but then the Cyrus, like I think of Cyrus the Virus from Con Air. So you put Lex from Lex Luthor and Cyrus from Cyrus the Virus from Con Air, put together and get Lex Cyrus. You got a mean mother on the football field. The funny thing is, I actually like the idea that he is working on catching punts because that kind of shiftiness that reminds me of Ace Sanders. So what was it?
This Georgia reminds me of Ace Sanders a lot more. You're right.
Was it the Georgia game where he caught the punt and the entire Georgia special teams, all 11 guys are right there, and he just like pinball in between
Mm-hmm.
and tackles and broke through for a touchdown. Like this guy gives me that kind of vibes, and I would love to see him on a wide receiver screen or something in the shallows, and then he takes it, he breaks a couple ankles, and then takes it to the house.
Yeah, he's definitely a home run threat for that. I mean, he just looks shifty. Another guy we have too, Jordan. We could talk about these players all day, but we gotta move
Oh
on. I'm
yeah,
sure the fans are. Jordan Gidron, did I
yep,
pronounce that last name right? Tell me
yep,
about him.
yep. Jordan Gidrun, he another big boy, 6'2", about 190, 195.
God, I love tall wide receivers so much.
Yeah. He also ran around that 10-7 100-meter dash. So, him
He
and
outran that
Malik
pass
Clark.
right there. He had to come back
Yeah.
for it.
So, I mean, that's the thing is like we got such a great mix of freshman wide receivers. We got two big guys, 6'2", 190, that can run, obviously. I mean, he had to slow up on that highlight to catch
The
the ball.
second time in a row, I'm seeing him slow up. Yeah.
These are the kind of guys between him and Malik Clark, and and this is again for the future because right now, like got big Nick Harbor and stuff like that. But man, 6'2" guys on the outside, and let's say you're in the red zone and you need to get a touchdown. So what do? You throw the fade to a 6'2", 190 guy that can go up and get it, out leap a 5'10" DB, 5'11" DB, be able to out muscle him as well off the line because they'll probably play press, and then be able to come down with soft hands and a nice touchdown.
And just looking at him, it takes like 3-4 guys to tackle him on every single play.
Oh yeah,
here. Look at this. He's just running over. Like, I love this. He knows exactly who he is and doesn't care. He's like looking for contact. Now there's going to be. I'm looking at this at the play here. There's going to be a learning curve going into the SEC. So
yeah.
first thing
Yeah.
I notice here because it looks like he's vastly superior than everyone on the field here.
I mean, he looks like he's playing like he's in high school and he's playing a bunch of middle schoolers, and
That's
I get that.
exactly
I mean,
what it looks like. Yeah,
that's high school ball. Like that's what when you get to college. It's the same way of going from college to NFL. Like you're going up against much better talent than what you've played in the previous level. But
yeah.
if your training is and your commitment and your work ethic is 100%, then you're going to make that transition. As much as the talent gets better that you go up against, so will you. And so that's what we're looking for. And I think all these guys, from what I've heard, they're coming in with a work ethic, with a hunger to get better, and want to be able to compete. Like these guys are not coming in to sit on the bench. They're coming in to compete to be a starter in the SEC. So they're going to put that kind of effort into spring practice. And all of these guys are actually outside of Donovan Murph, which we'll get to. All of them have already enrolled and are going through spring practice, and all of them are healthy to go through spring practice. So, you got a head start already.
My favorite clip that I just saw of him was that pancake he threw down on the defensive back
Yeah.
there. Like he didn't even get the play wasn't even coming his way, and he just pancaked the shit out of that defensive back. So I love that mentality in a wide receiver. Obviously, I'm a Steelers fan with Hines Ward, and like Mike, I got to get my Patriots reference in. I got to get my Steelers reference in.
Nice.
I love that mentality. I hope he keeps that. And I see a lot of successful wide receivers with that mentality. That's like, hey, I'm gonna block first. I don't really care.
Oh yeah, dude. Give me a receiver that also loves to block, and I will show you a potential Hall of Famer. So that's how it goes. All right, next guy.
Yeah, we know this guy. Go ahead.
All right, so Jaden Sellers, as you see in the highlight, he's playing quarterback. So he did play quarterback at South Florence. But what you may not know, actually, most everybody does know this. Why am I saying it? This is the younger brother of Lenoris Sellers. So Lenoris left South Florence, came to Carolina. His younger brother took over as quarterback. Well, obviously, we got a quarterback in his older brother, so he's back to playing his original position when he played with his brothers a few years ago, and that's wide receiver. He comes in a little light. He's about 175, 5'11", 175. Obviously, again, don't worry. There's Luke Day in the strength and conditioning program.
Yep, there's a plan.
There's nutrition with Yemi. So we're not worried about that at all. What we got in Jaden Sellers is sticky hands. Literally, they put super glue on his hands. This guy can catch everything. And blazing speed. He's one of the faster wide receivers, not named Nick Harbor. So we're looking at a guy that, if you want something that can stretch the field, get behind that defense, get behind enemy line, so to speak, Jaden Sellers. And oh, by the way, he's already got natural chemistry with the quarterback. Duh.
I'm so happy you said that because it's like, yo, if you're looking at a 3rd and long and you don't really have who are you going to go to? Someone you've been thrown to for 18 years, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
it makes
I mean, that's the
perfect
thing
sense.
is, and this kid is so fast. Like if you're looking at these highlights, once he breaks through the line, I mean, he's just torching everybody. Like I can't wait to see, that kind of the speed kills. The speed is entertaining. If you go to a football game, when you see a guy break through and then outpace everybody to the end zone, man, that is exciting to watch. And that's what we're going to get out of Jaden Sellers. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to hearing the call of the Sellers to Sellers for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Todd Ellis is going to have himself a ball when he is able to call that for the first time.
I'm excited for when Todd mentions the Sellers touchdown for the first time as well. You mentioned speed. There's one thing that's funny when you watch a lot of football and you think guys are fast, guys are fast. You can be fast, but not football fast. This is football fast too. Like this is
Yeah.
like he's got the pet, like he's really just breaking 75-yard runs with ease. And it's
and that's the thing is when they talk football fast, a lot of people are asked, what does you mean by football fast? Well, football fast, there's the top end speed that you see after you break open. But to get to that point, one, you got to be quick twitch, one cut and go. But once you see that hole, the explosive acceleration, and that's what makes you football fast is your ability to hit that hole, slither through, and then explosively accelerate to your top end speed, almost immediately, and then be able to maintain that through the rest of your run. That's football speed. Anybody can run incredibly like a 4.3. Well, not anybody. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I definitely cannot do that. But most speedsters that run these very quick 40 times and 100-meter times, they don't get to their top end speed till the last third of that distance. Football speed means you got to get to that speed within that first third after breaking through the line and being able to shuttle and shuffle through that hole around defenders, get them to miss, get to break tackles, and then be able to explosively accelerate and then maintain that through the rest of your run.
Yeah.
And that's football fast. And I'm from those highlights, Jaden Sellers has got it, man.
Really hoping, I'm really excited to see him hopefully on the field as early as this year.
All right, this is my favorite highlight
here.
This is Brian Rowe. We talked about him before. Watch this leap. Who? God almighty.
Yeah.
Skyscraper. So we did have a episode about Brian Rowe already. We already know about his abilities, but I wanted to throw him in here because I did not see this video until I was looking it up for this episode. This right here, whoo boy. I mean, God, I wish if you were audio only, I'm sorry, you have to go look this up on YouTube. It is unreal. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm hoping you're enjoying it. One of my favorite. It is, I mean, the ability to time, you got to time the jump. You got to be able to make that jump and then make, he did drop the pass, but it doesn't matter.
To be fair, the defensive back made a very good play there. So I think that was more the defensive back. Yeah.
I think the best thing about why I put this video in, because we already talked about Rowe's potential, this was to show that every single one of these guys, not just Brian Rowe, but Jaden Sellers, Lex Cyrus, Jordan Gidrin, Malik Clark, and eventually Donovan Murph this summer, when they come into school, we're getting the athlete already. We are getting elite athleticism. We're getting elite ball skills. All we got to do is just train them in our offense and train them consistent. That is it. That is it.
I think what's going to be helpful too, at least for their psyche, is that they don't need to come in and be the guy immediately. Like there's enough talent. There's enough talent, to go around right now. And speaking of Donovan Murph, we got a couple minutes left. So Donovan Murph's our last guy, right?
Yeah, Donovan Murph's our last guy. This right here, just the ability to see the ball in the air, know where the defender is, be able to fight through the defender, put himself in more of an advantageous position, and be able to snag the ball. Donovan Murph out of Irmo, South Carolina, is right here in Columbia. That's what I like about him. And again, another 4-star guy, another guy that is going to complete this wide receiver room that can be tops in the SEC. But on this highlight, if you just look, it's just phenomenal. Sees the ball, gets himself in a position, makes sure the DB is at a disadvantage, and is able to make the catch, secures the catch through contact with the ground, and gets the touchdown. I mean, what more can you ask for from an athletic standpoint from a wide receiver like that?
That was very much a professional move to get that ball like you could tell it's a push off, but he does it so well that no one's ever going to call it.
Yeah. And he's kind of in that mold. He's a little bit shorter than Malik and Jordan. He's at about 6'1". He'll probably maybe grow like another inch. So we can put him in that big bodied receiver category at 6'2". He's about 190. Probably could play between 195 and maybe up to 200 with the strength and conditioning. But again, I love the fact that these guys are already grown from a physical standpoint and are already physical and athletic enough that those wide receiver plays that you expect, they're already making. Like that to me is, that's why outside of the veterans, these guys, the young guys, yeah. 1800 first spider wing.
Absolutely, man. Well done today, Buster. This is a great job. Guys, thanks you so much for tuning in for our Gamecock of the Week special, checking out our breakout wide receiver room. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Who are you liking to see? Who do you want to see? Is there any of these guys who wants to break down? Drop it down in the comments. Give us a like, subscribe, do all that stuff. You know how it goes. You listen to enough content. But Buster, great job today, brother. Thank you so much.
Of course. Y'all have a good one.
That's another episode of Alumni
Game
Cox.